The moment my dad made his last breath, that was it. I let go of his hand. He wasn't there anymore. The moment he stopped breathing, he wasn't there anymore, and it was just a body at that point. I'm not sure how to start this video, but I think it's important that I talk this stuff out. My dad passed away a couple months ago. I'm not keeping track, but through the process, I've changed a lot, and the grieving is still going on. My dad's name was Wang Hong, or his first name was Wang Yong-shen, and he changed it to Wang Hong. He met my mom in Beijing, and they moved over to San Francisco. They were both interested in the healing arts and Chinese medicine. When he got to America, he started teaching self-healing, acupuncture, and Chinese medicine, and eventually got the title Master Wang. Having my dad named Master Wang was an interesting dynamic, I'd say. A few weeks before my dad passed away, I went on a trip to LA. While I was in LA, I explored the place, went to the beach, had a really good time, and then took the bus back with my sister. When I got back to San Francisco, I was hanging out with my friend, relaxing, and I hadn't gone to see my dad yet. Then I got a call from my dad's friend, and she was saying on the phone that he was really, really sick and that I ought to check up on him. So I quickly took the BART over to Oakland, and I got to his place. I got in, I walked up to his bedroom, and I went in and saw him lying there. His skin was yellow, his eyes were yellow. His condition didn't look good at all. I was really worried. My dad, my whole life, always said that he was the healthiest, sickest person alive. And for most of my life, he would complain about his rheumatism, his headaches, and his back pain. He always told me that he didn't feel comfortable. He always complained about being sick. So when I saw him this time, it was the real deal. He was really sick. That night, I was in my bed and I was singing some of these songs I was trying to learn to myself, and I got really scared. I felt like something was about to happen, and I just started crying while I was singing. This feeling came through me of realness, and I knew that he was going to die. So I woke up that morning, went back up to his bedroom, and his good friend who does Chinese medicine came over and did some work on him and some cupping. And my dad, crazily enough, as sick as he was still able to get up and move around. He had his friend do an enema, which is you stick a tube up your butthole, and he had ginger juice squeezed up his butthole to induce a bowel movement, and he started shitting. But to see my dad just go through that, it hurt me. Like, he was really suffering. He had some cupping done. I worked on my dad, and I gave him a shoulder massage, a head massage, and I wasn't, this damn dog. I was working on my dad as he was dying. I didn't know he was going to die. I mean, I really didn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it, but he was dying, and his skin was yellow, his eyes were yellow, and we all thought that he had jaundice, something like jaundice, but it turns out it was much worse. So I was massaging his shoulders, massaging his head, doing work on him with one of his good friends, and I wasn't fully present. I was kind of on my phone while I was doing it, and his friend said to me, "No, you have to be fully present right now. You're here for your dad." And I'm so happy that I did get fully present. So that day we took him to Highland Hospital, and we were in the waiting room for a long time. And Highland Hospital is famous for getting gunshot wound cases, lots of them. And we were waiting and waiting, and no one came for my dad to bring him in for emergency. So we eventually just left. We left. I don't know if it would have been different if we had gone to the hospital, but we left. So he's back in bed again, and it's just getting worse and worse. And that night, like, I'm like seriously concerned, like really, really scared. And I call my mom, and she comes over, and then in the morning we force my dad out of bed to go to just St. John Muir Hospital. And my dad like really hates hospitals, like he's really anti-hospital, and he says that's where you go to die. That's where you go to die. I'm not going. But we get him to go. So we're driving to the hospital, and he's just sitting there like really uncomfortable. Like I can tell he's suffering. And we get to the parking lot of John Muir, and right as we're about to get out, and the nurse has a wheelchair available, right as we're about to get out, he pukes everywhere, and like it's like black vomit. And it was from, I don't know, but maybe it was internal bleeding or something. So anyhow, we get him into the wheelchair, and he's like delirious at this point. Like he hasn't been talking right the past few days anyways. And we get him into the ER room, the emergency room, and we lie him down, and he just like, he curls up on the table, and like in the ER room, the table's metal and really uncomfortable. Anyhow, he's on the table, and like the hospital's super cold. It's like a fridge in there. They take off his clothes and everything and put on the hospital gown, and then he's just curled up like in pain. He's like, give me water, I need water now. And the nurse says, no, we can't give him water. We think he has jaundice. That's not good. We cannot give him water. So I have to just obey the nurse's instructions. And his mouth starts bleeding, and there's blood like within his teeth, and it's so scary. And then they have to turn him over, and he's lying there just like in pain, and he keeps telling me, Noah, can you scratch my back, please? Like my skin's really itchy. Can you scratch my back? So I scratch his back, and he's like, thank you so much, thank you so much. Then the nurse comes with a special machine and scans around his belly, and they find the reason why he's having so much pain is his urinal tract is blocked. And they have to unblock it by doing, I forget what it's called, but it's where you stick the tube up the penis, and you let all the liquids out. So they try doing that the first time, and it's so painful. He's pushing them away with his arms, and my dad's really strong, so they can't do it. So we have to get the straps, and they tie his arms down, and they try again, and he literally breaks the straps off and like escapes. And so we try a third time, and like this time the doctor says, no, you have to hold your dad down for us. And so I'm holding my dad down, and they put the tube into his penis, and he yells, he's like screaming so much pain, and his eyes open up like very wide, and they're like yellow, they're like pure yellow, and he's staring at me and just yelling in pain, like, please stop, please stop. And that's like one of the most like fucking painful moments of my life was to hold my dad down and watch him feel that much pain as he's dying. That was like a really tough moment. So that was over, and I go sit down with my mom. I'm like, what? Like, is he gonna get through this? And she looks at me and she says to me, the nurse just told me that he's highly likely to die. And I look at her, I'm like, no. And she says, yeah, no, like, he's gonna die. And I just start crying, like, I can't believe it. I'm like in complete disbelief. And I walk out the room and I go to another room and I just cry. And I'm in so much disbelief. Like, I'm just saying no, no, no. Then I go back to the room and I finally calm myself, but like still I'm like, I don't feel at all like this is real. It does not feel real. So after that, we go to the cafeteria in the hospital and we get some food, and I don't eat any, but I'm outside on the table and we're calling my dad's sisters and his loved ones to let them know like what's going on. And his sisters live in China, and you know, they immediately go figure out how to get the airplane tickets and come over. And they're all really, really, really like super worried. And I just like start crying again, and I'm like, I hate you, Dad. Like, I hate you so much. Why would you do this? And like the real emotion, the truth is that it's so deep, and there's so much like that is going through me, and I just wasn't able to process it. So hate, love, like all that, I didn't want him to die, and I hated him for it, that he was leaving me, but it wasn't his fault. So John Muir wasn't able to fully finish the process. They said they're gonna try their best to save him, but they figured out that he had hepatitis B, which is a disease that you contract via another human being. So he was at John Muir for a while, and every time I came and visited him, and every time I drove back, I would just like stare out the window and like just feel absolutely hopeless, completely empty. Like, there were some of the darkest moments of my life, but also some of the realest moments where I really understood music, and I started understanding the darker parts of life and art, and the deeper meanings of these songs, different songs I listened to. He eventually got transferred to UCSF hospital, and the amount of people that died during the transfer is high, so even that was like scary. I didn't know if he was going to live or not, but he made it, and he got to UCSF. What he needed was a liver transfer. Now, liver transfers are very rare, and that added to like my anxiety. It was an anxiety cortisol roller coaster, and every move, every day I didn't know what was gonna happen. Every day felt like nothing. Time stopped existing because I only had one thing on my mind: was my dad gonna die, or was he gonna live? So through it all, the doctor finally said we can do surgery and replace his liver, but we're still waiting on a donor. And that took that took a long time to come. During the process, we had to make a hard decision, which was, are we gonna keep my dad alive? And based on my dad's philosophy, would he be happy and okay with having a liver transplant and having to take pills for the rest of his life? And my mom, in her heart, knew that this isn't something my dad would appreciate, and I now agree. But at the time, to unplug him, to end his life, I couldn't do it. I could not detach, and none of my family could either. So we all voted to keep him alive. So another 3 days or something passed, and there was just no news, and eventually he contracted bronchitis. So the doctor just could not move forward with the surgery. I was at a spa that day just to take care of myself. Me and my family were at the spa, and still completely out of it, just sad, deep depression, unbelievable. And we get the call, and my mom says we gotta go, and I already know it's this isn't good. And she takes us to this park in this place in Golden Gate Park, sits down on a bench and tells us the news that he isn't going to get the liver transplant, and that we have to unplug him. So we get to the hospital, and the doctors explain everything, why they can't go forward with it. His likelihood of surviving is so low now, and they've kept him alive with some of the most high-tech life support, so expensive, and now we gotta unplug him. So they we decide, we arrange how we're gonna see my dad off. We turn him towards the hospital window, and we put his cowboy hat on, and we all play some songs for him, and I whisper a few words into his ear, and it's like a moment, crazy moment. They unplug him. He's unconscious. He went into a coma at this point. They unplug him, and then it's just a matter of waiting. And I just waited and looked at my dad, and just everything went by in my mind. What is going on? Where is he going? What is going on? Is this real right now? And I just held my dad's hand, and I said to him, you can go now. You can go. You're good. You can go now. The moment my dad made his last breath, that was it. I let go of his hand. He wasn't there anymore. The moment he stopped breathing, he wasn't there anymore, and it was just a body at that point. And I left the room, and that was it. It was the most real, visceral thing that ever happened in my life. I had never really truly been that present until that moment, and it did something for me. It changed me, and it has changed me in the deepest, most real way. And yeah, I'll never stop loving my dad, and I'll never stop missing him. but as time goes by, who he is in me, and I'm seeing that more and more clearly, which is crazy. So he's closer to me than he ever was when he was alive. I didn't fully understand who he was and how as quintessential and important he was in my life. But through his apparent absence, physical absence, I've gone to know him on a way deeper level. I've gone to internalize him on a way deeper level. And I think that's pretty deep. It's also sparked the realization that eventually I will die and other loved ones will die, and it's a real thing that you die, and who knows what's around the corner and after that, but it's just for us to find out on our own. And the journey really is, you're on your own. But that is the story. That's my dad. That's how he died. Yeah. Thanks for watching.